Welcome back to Learn and Listen podcast. I'm your host, T Win.
And I'm Anthony Mandigo.
Today, we're honored to have Mr. Andrew Lee Randall Jr., an attorney, pastor, and dedicated community leader. A partner at Randall and Johnson LLC, he has served as an ad hoc judge for Shreveport City Court and previously ran for Caddo Parish Juvenile Court Judge. Beyond law, Mr. Rand is the pastor of Sunrise Baptist Church and a bishop in the Full Gospel Baptist Church Fellowship. He's deeply committed to mentoring youth, serving as director of juvenile services for Caddo Parish and pole march of the Shreveport Alumni chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity, a Cooper Road native
Yes.
by way of Shreveport. He's a graduate of Northwood High School, Dillard University, and Tulane Law. His journey is one of resilience, leadership, and service. Join us as we dive into his experiences and insights. You won't want to miss this conversation. Thank you, Mr. Randall.
I'm telling you.
Thank you,
All
man.
right,
You know.
Mr. Ronald,
Yes, sir.
what are some of the potential effects of trying more minors as adults in Louisiana legal system?
Well, this is a part of course, my work every day and even just my life's work. And I believe really the whole point of juvenile justice is rehabilitative. I mean, the
Already.
idea is that children will do things, they will encounter the system, but I believe our job, our assignment is to help them turn that life around and get them the help they need so that they can be productive. So, anything that we do to change the law that makes punishing children either earlier or
Mm-hmm.
even more severe works against that. So,
Yeah,
my goal is to try, number one, to keep them from coming into the system.
I'm
But
telling
even if they do, we want to make sure that their worst day isn't their last day.
you. You hear me? For real. I like that.
So, does it does it sound counterproductive for taxpayers to be paying money? I think we got like 20 some million, set us 20 to 50 some $1 million set to the side to open up new juvenile facilities. Yet our legislators are proposing that we start trying juveniles as young as 14 years old as adults for any crime. Does that sound productive or counterproductive?
So let's talk about what you said about them trying children as adults. So we already have a system constitutionally in Louisiana where children are tried as adults for I think it's like 16 specific crimes. When you look at it, it's crimes such as first degree murder, second degree murder, armed robbery, and any number of sex crimes like aggravated rape. What any change in the law would do would be to basically open that up, and so it goes from those type of crimes to whatever the legislature may decide to charge children as adults. So the implications of that are serious, because if you open up all the crimes to be charged as an adult, then depending on what the legislature says, a child could be charged as an adult for a crime like shoplifting or something that ordinarily would be tried as a juvenile. And so when you look at it like that, the implications are serious, because whereas a kid who does some other lesser crimes or less violent crimes would normally be a part of the juvenile system, the shifting of the tides may make them be tried as an adult, which would be a definitely a more traumatic result for kids and even for their families. Um, of course, the legislature has assigned actually like over $150 million to the building of new or larger juvenile facilities, secure facilities around the state. Because the truth is, um, with respect to when it comes to those kinds of issues, we all find that they're under resourced. And so, literally, what we're always looking for is opportunities to provide interventions, rehabilitation, and not incarceration. But that's what's before us at this time.
Okay.
So, I look at we look at a historical landmark decision
Mm-hmm.
in Miller. Miller was a juvenile case
Mm-hmm.
that was tried as an adult.
Mm-hmm.
Like in Louisiana, you said we got 15 to 16 serious offenses that we could already try kids as adults on.
Right.
Most of them are aggravated charges.
Yes.
But Miller examined it more in depth to say that when you're a kid, for one, your brain isn't developed. So your brain doesn't develop from until you're 25 to 26 years old.
Mm-hmm.
That changed the law, and it made the Supreme Court say we can't automatically just give a kid a life sentence because we got to take in the mitigating factors. We got to see how his mind was, how his environment was being raised up.
Of course.
When you're taking these smaller crimes, like you just say shoplifting, should we, which I'm not asking you this yet, should we send a kid to an adult facility for shoplifting? Let's say that this kid comes from a poverty raised, a poverty stricken household. His mom, let's say she's on drugs. He got sisters and brothers. And he's 14 years old, but he's a provider because mom can't provide. So he shoplifts. Should the system punish this kid and say, hey man, I'm gonna give you 8 years in prison for shoplifting, but you're going to an adult facility. Mr. Randall spoke on trauma. Prison is the most traumatic experience that you could give a kid. And 8 years, do you think that that kid is gonna return back to society with a really really good mindset without him being a recidivist? I mean, we got to take all these things into consideration. Legislators are just sitting back making laws. Are they really taking in their constituents? Or I don't think that the legislators who are proposing these bills are the people that have constituents that come from poverty raised environments. And that's something that people has to look at also. These are targeted laws that's being put in place because black kids are more likely to go to prison than white kids. And we have to think about that and take that into consideration. So, Mr. Randall, you've been dealing with juveniles for how long?
I, for the last since 2021, in terms of juvenile services, but even prior to that, I mean, I guess last 25 years in one form or another.
What do you think the biggest concern with trying to catch a juvenile before he age into a life of crime? What's the biggest concern?
So, um, it's been said that it's easier to build strong children than to repair broken men. The problem that we have a lot of times with kids and the truth is even with adults is you never judge a person's decision unless you know what their choices are. And one of the things that we try to do with respect to the scenario you kind of gave about somebody from a poverty-stricken, background and things like that. Listen, there are always factors that you're going to consider when it comes to dealing with a person. The idea of justice, the idea of fairness, the idea of equality is what we want to look, into. Obviously, we're not trying to create a scenario where we're excusing people because a lot of people grew up. Look, I grew up easy living. You know what I'm saying? Cooper, like nobody grew up with a silver spoon in their mouth. In fact, probably was a wooden spoon in their mouth. We was wrapped up around the line at David Rain's the first of the month when they handing out powdered milk and eggs, cheese, stuff
Jeez.
like that. So we all had to, I didn't walk the trail from Oak Forest to Lowmart back in the day. So with food stamps. So all of that, we grew up like that, but that didn't give me an excuse to rob people. But I understand that some people really they don't feel like they have a choice and they make a decision based off of that. The idea that when somebody comes into the system, all of that is taken into account. That's why I said you need to have people with the kind of mindset that understands that certain things may have led this person to this decision, but is there a way we can, turn this around so that they don't continue to inflict harm? One of the things that's important, you mentioned about effect and disproportionate effects. Well, I mean, let's just bear the numbers out. If you look from a juvenile standpoint, 85% of the almost 400 children that came into the detention center last year, they were black. Anything that we do to make harsher or deal with crime is going to affect disproportionately more people like that than any other group because that's who's in the system. And there are a lot of factors that lead into that I don't know if we'll go into tonight, but the bottom line is that's why it takes people like y'all, it takes people like me to have an eye toward the fact that we know that when society catches a cold, the black community we catch pneumonia. So you know, we want to make sure
Okay.
we're good on that.
We'll be right back after these messages.
Let's check that.
Welcome to another episode of Learn and Listen. I am your host, T. Wynn.
I am Anthony Bendigo.
Vincent William is a director, educator.
All the time.
Yes,
So
sir.
we want to end on this note. Stop the dissing.
And learn to listen.
Thank y'all.
Like, subscribe, share.
Please. And we're back. Like we never left.
You hear me? All right, Mr. Randall. Is it possible that a juvenile can be flashed on the news at the age of 13?
Well, I mean, depending on the nature of the incident, I mean, I'm sure there have been incidents where, particularly if it's been a particularly public crime or controversial thing, we've had instances where juveniles have been plastered across the news because of things that have gone on. So yeah, that would happen.
Okay, okay. I never thought that they can do that when a juvenile at that age. I thought maybe they'll just do their name instead of flashing their picture.
Well, I mean, I think at times generally juveniles have been protected, when incidents like that have happened. But I mean, to your point, we've seen it where depending on the nature of the issue or who it involved or who the victim was
Mm-hmm.
or alleged victim in the incident occurred, um, we live in a media driven age, and sometimes the face of crime, unfortunately, or the face of happens to be, particularly juvenile crime, happens to be male. It happens to be black, and that becomes the face of it, and that becomes what or how the public even perceives crime. And that's not just with children; it's just with adults. Whenever
Yeah.
you watch any news station, they're talking about crime, or they're showing prisons or prisoners or inmates of that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, we're the face of it, and one of my missions is to try to change that. It is not just black youth that are committing crimes. It is
Mm-hmm.
not just we are in fact I don't really even like the term like black on black crime, for instance,
Mm-hmm.
because it there
That's why I hate, and I don't
people
know how to hate.
people commit crimes to the people closest to them.
Yeah.
So if I happen to be of another ethnicity and I live there, and the most likely victim of a crime is going to be somebody that looks like me, but
Mm-hmm.
we don't hear that on the news where they mention other ethnicities and call it, they don't say white on white crime or Asian on
Mm-hmm.
Asian crime or
Yeah.
any other ethnicity. It is this created terminology that I think criminalizes us in a way that's unfortunate because
Yeah.
it goes into that perception again that we're criminal, and that's what we're trying to counteract. We don't I don't control the media narratives, but when there's an
Yeah.
opportunity to talk about it in a way that puts it, because I want to show um our kids in a light or show them another direction, because the real truth is some kids, when I talk to them every day, the challenge that they have with doing something different is they've never seen anything different.
Mm-hmm.
So when you don't know that you have other options, you default to the rules of whatever surrounds you or the conversation of those that are around them. And I tell kids every opportunity I get that you may be born looking like your parents,
Yeah,
but you're gonna die looking like your decisions.
for real.
And so,
I like that.
that's really where it's at. So when we have a conversation, what I'm trying to tell a kid is you can make a different choice. Hey, I never saw a man. Okay, well, I can't make up for the fact that whatever happened with your dad or your father, whether he's here in your life or not in your life, not fooling with you, we're here and we're
Yeah,
trying to show you a different path. Whether you grew up in a household where, one of the most unfortunate things that I've seen, even in the detention center, and we don't call the children inmates, we call them residents, because again, we're trying to
resident.
decriminalize the whole aspect of it. But it is unfortunate that society,
Yeah.
we got kids in there that, why is it that you have to be incarcerated for that to be the first time you have a good night's sleep? Why does that have to be the first time you actually eat 3 times a day? Why is that the first time you're actually in class and nobody's trying to fight you?
Mm-hmm.
Why is that the place where nobody's touching you inappropriately? And the first time you've experienced that is in jail. That's something wrong with our society.
Yeah.
We've literally, one of the saddest moments, we had a young lady come to the detention center, knock on the door, and ask, "Is there something y'all can charge me with so I can come in there?"
Well, she just wanted to go to sleep.
Just want Your life is that torn up that it's safer in jail than
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. A lot of them
That
like
means
that.
we are broken as a society when somebody comes to knock on the door of a jail and say, "Hey, I just need somewhere to sleep. I need somewhere to eat. Life out here for me ain't safe. I'm safer in an orange jumpsuit,
Mm-hmm.
in a pod in the cell, than I am around my people." That's what we fight.
For real.
That.
So if you are a Louisiana resident, it's imperative for you to understand that we got an election coming up, March the 29th. But early voting started Saturday. It's a constitutional election. So people are not campaigning for anything. So that makes us overlook the importance of this election. But this election targeted 4 constitutional amendments that could change the face of Louisiana. One of those amendments is Amendment 3, and it states that they're going to change the way that they look at kids in Louisiana if they commit a crime, and it goes as low as 14 years old. So it's saying that a 14-year-old kid would be able to go to an adult facility, which we spoke on earlier. This election gives the citizens of Louisiana a chance to say yay or nay to this going further. Amendment 1 is to add another addition to the courts, which would be really considered a kangaroo court. I know many of y'all might not understand what a kangaroo court is. A kangaroo court is where it don't abide by your constitutional rights. It does things just off center to appease itself. But rule number 3 is dealing with juveniles.
Mm-hmm.
So it's people has to look at it from this standpoint. You got a chance to either say, I don't want a kid that's 14 years old going to an adult facility for the rest of their life, or starting off their career as a criminal in an adult facility without ever having a chance to be a kid, or you got a chance to say, let them go because I'm tired of crime. And me being tired of crime is me being tired of crime. Mr. Randall, it's it's a hard question, and I know it's a question that you really just can't. I mean, you can answer it the way you want to answer it, and I know it's going to be a legitimate answer. I can't ask you that. So I'm rephrasing it in my mind. So because I can't ask you that. But I'm gonna say this. Mr. Randall works for the juvenile system. And I'm putting words in his mouth, so don't take this as him saying this.
Yeah.
Mr. Randall will want you to vote no, so that kids can stay in the juvenile facility because that's his job. His job is to get kids, and it's a different system now than when we went. Because when I went, it was to let a kid come in and whatever happened, it happens to him. But Mr. Randall is of the mindset of saying, man, let's get these kids and make these kids better kids, so that when they return to society, they don't return to prison.
For real.
So I want to prepare them to come back into society to be a citizen, a returning citizen, not a returning inmate that's going to return back to prison. So, Mr. Randall, man, how do we save our kids from a life of crime?
So several things, and uh, I would encourage everybody to vote. I've already voted. Educate yourself on those amendments, and I would encourage you to vote. In addition to those four constitutional amendments here in Caddo Parish, I'd also just want to educate people the fact that there are three uh, millage renewals that are also on there that pertain to resources allocated toward the Caddo Parish School Board. That's also an important thing to educate yourself on, because at the end of the day, one of the things that, how do we prevent it? It's resources. It is, our schools are underfunded. One of the things that helps us with the work that we do is we're always trying to identify community partners, volunteers, people who have programs that hey, this kid may be troubled, but they need mentorship. They need help. We're really good at helping kids who can run fast and jump high. But every kid is not, we're always chasing hoop dreams. But the truth is, this kid just may be artistic. Hey, maybe my thing is math. Where's my program? Where's the help for me if I like to draw? And maybe I'll be an architect, excuse me. Where's the mentoring program for me if I want to be an electrician? I want to be a plumber. I want to do other things. And so anytime we can resource those kind of programs and find community partners who will come alongside us, that gets us a big way in getting help we need.
Yeah.
We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back. In 1865, one form of slavery ended and a new form began with a different name. Mentality remained the same, so did the ownership claim, as well as the shackles and chain, so did the pain. And it's crazy, but the forceful separation of family has never been viewed as insane. The mental health catastrophe cannot honestly be explained. Since 1619, black freedom has never been simple and plain. Unless you were a token with light skin and perfect diction, unlike the darkness that spoke with English broken. No playing and joking. For 30 years and 7 months, I lost all focus. I was hopeless, living a reality that was actually exactly from the past, a path I didn't surpass, and society singing and wondering honestly. When
But we got to save these kids.
Yeah.
What we do to save these kids?
Man, guys like y'all, man, who understand where these kids have come from. The fact that you lending your voice in this space is huge. Is huge, and I don't want to miss the opportunity to say thank you for the work that y'all are doing and being an example and letting our kids understand. Number one, you understand there's consequences to what it is what you're doing, and that there is a better way. And that voice. So I was talking about programs. We're looking for we're always looking for volunteers. We're always looking for people who will come and say, hey, this is what we have to offer for kids. So right now we got people who are partnering alongside with the work we do. They're offering, showing kids how to do music production, audio visual production, like what y'all have here even tonight. We have people who are having job readiness, programs. We sponsored in my department last year a job fair, and it was specifically for the kids that we have on probation or who are in our detention center in the facility. Imagine that you're in jail, and we had a job fair for you.
Yeah.
So what's the message we're sending? That you didn't come here to stay, and that there's supposed to be something else. And we got employers who agreed to hire these kids. Now understand, that's huge, because we know when you fill out an application, if you say you got any kind of felony, any kind of thing, they put that in the trash.
I need to send my son to you.
So
he need a job.
we are trying to help, in every way we can. So people that are fans and that connected to this podcast, man, I just need y'all to reach out. If you got a program, if you got something that has some value that can add to what we're doing, you want to be a mentor. Churches are important in that regard. Everything that helps, man, is big. And again, if you can run fast and jump high, they're gonna help you. I'm looking for people who can see a bigger net than that.
Yeah.
And help our kids know there's another future for them.
For real.
Okay. Here I am. I'm a young kid. I've been to the juvenile facility 3 times. I'm out. You didn't talk to me. You know who I am. I'm in an environment that's really, really torn, and there's a lot of gang violence going on. I'm a part of this, but I really don't want to be a part of this no more, because I done been to jail so many times, and I know that my friends ain't my friends when I go to jail.
Sure.
So I'm seeking guidance, and I'm seeking a solution to help me overcome what I got to go back home to every single day.
Yeah.
And I want God in my life, but I don't want to be seen as this little weak kid, because I'm not a weak kid, but I just know my soul is tormented, and I'm crying out. How can you save me?
Well, I mean, so as a pastor, let me say 2 things. Number one, just because the kid leaves our facility, we don't leave their life. I want to say that our officers, probation officers, and our staff really maintains relationships with these kids and their families, lifelong relationships, meant to going to graduations. I mean, I've been to graduations. I've been to, people have birthday parties. They have all kind of celebrations. It becomes a real investment, for us. But as a pastor, churches, it's not about, listen, I'm less concerned about whether a kid becomes a member of my church as much as I'm concerned about that kid eats, that kid is safe, that kid's family goes to school. If they happen to make that choice as far as being a part of our church, that's fine, but that's not what's motivating me to do what I'm doing. And I think what I love about, there are many churches in our city that have that same attitude. What we're doing is we're there to help. And so what does that help mean? That help means, like, I'm not expecting you to just run in on Sunday, but Monday through Saturday, we're out there. We're at the schools. We're adopting schools. So like for instance, with my church, Sunrise. So we've adopted AMI, which is the middle school equivalent of where when kids get expelled and things of that nature, that's where they go. So we partner, with them. We're looking for opportunities to be out there and be in kids' life. And there are many organizations that we do work with for that exact purpose. So my challenge to any church, any pastor, any leader is to not just be a place where people gather on Sunday, but make your church a resource to people. If people are hungry, feed them.
Yeah.
People need clothes, get it. People need love, mentors, meet somebody to pray with them, pray for them, and walk through life with them. Then that's what our job is, And I think if everybody does their part, look, we got enough churches to do it. So we just got to get active.
Get active.
Get active. Get active and get at it. Get active and get at it. That's our assignment, and that's what I believe and that's what we're doing. One of the ways we talked about, and we were talking about this a little bit earlier, the challenge. One of the ways in which I've challenged our church to you talking about how we can do more. It is, we have this idea of only celebrating those that we believe are doing well. We invest in the kids that are going to college. Well, my challenge to my church and to other churches, let's invest in the kids that are going to trade school. to beauty school, to doing things, driving school, trucker school, whatever it is, that alternatives, because there are many, many paths to success. And I believe in investing in kids. Let me tell you something else we do. And this is help. You talk about how we encourage kids. We don't just give money to or certificates to kids that get all A's, have perfect attendance. You know what we also do? I challenge the kids in my church. I say, listen, I'll tell you what, I'll make a deal with you.
Yeah.
You show me your grades now, right? And okay, we see what it is, and you got some areas you're struggling in. You improve them areas, bring it back to me. Okay. And out of my pocket, I'm handing you money. I'm bringing you up in front of everybody and saying, look, last semester it was this, but look what this kid did. And he was brave enough to tell me he was struggling. So if he's brave enough to tell me he's struggling, I got to be man enough to meet him where he is when he succeeds, when he improves. See, the issue wasn't that he turned the C's or D's to A's. Maybe he just turned the D into a C or the C into a B. And so if I can tell him he's still valuable, even though he didn't have straight A's, man, the grind, what that kicks in a kid's head is, man, I just got to keep going. I just got to keep improving, because it's not about perfection. It's a process. And so it's not about perfection. It's about excellence. And I can be excellent even if I ain't perfect.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I look at it, being a formerly incarcerated guy that was a kid that when I went to prison, and I look at how the system now targets the bad to make them skip the process of just continuing to be a kid. You skip the process of becoming an adult instantly because of a crime. So you're gonna hurt me for committing a crime, but you ain't gonna help me if I just go to school and just never get in trouble. I'm not awarded anything for doing good.
Yeah.
But I am punished for doing bad.
Yes.
And the method in which you're doing it, I think, is a really, really great method, because you're showing those who are gonna be overlooked, who are gonna be demonized, you're showing them that, man, the process is to care for you enough to make you want to do better, not give up on you. And that's what we're doing here in our society. We're giving up on our kids. And we sitting back and allowing people that don't know the struggles of our kids to make decisions on every kid now and after them. Mm-hmm. That's why it's important to go vote. That's why this election is extremely important to go vote on. You got these amendments. You got to look at these 4 amendments. You got to make a decision, yeah or nay. And you got to look at Amendment 3. Amendment 3 is extremely important. So I think that what you're doing at your church with those kids is something that, if it could just take off in our city, it'll make the kids that's down here really, really strive to come up here, because you ain't giving up on them. And I'm giving you a lot more of love, and we need love.
We do. I would say this, and you talked about kids being treated as an adults by the criminal system, but the real truth is, kids are being exposed to adult decisions even before that. Yeah. Because I'm a kid growing up in a house where nobody's covering me, so I'm a teenager, but I'm having to be a parent because my parents ain't there. Now I'm taking care of my siblings, or we don't have money, and my people are telling me I gotta go work a corner, I gotta go sell this or do this or take this to pay bills and things like that. We do a lot of stuff to our kids to make them adults before their time. Yeah. I mean, all of us knew growing up, Cooper Road, same, all hoods everywhere.
I grew up watching my sisters and brothers,
and you got bills in your name. You got a credit score of 250 at 17.
Now that's ratchet. How you get a bill in your name? You ain't even 18.
We do things like that. My encouragement is it is to challenge the churches. It is challenge to mentor organizations. It's also challenge to parents to be involved. We have a bad habit of reacting when something gets bad and not being there. So we don't have to wait till the school board says, "Oh, we're going to close X school." Now you want to show up and holler at the school meeting. But how many school board meetings did you go before then? How many are you a member of the PTA? Have you shown up for anything? When I was my daughter was in elementary school, I was at PTA. Not only was I at PTA, I was the president of the PTA, which meant that I was there for donuts with dads, muffins with moms, and books with grandparents day, and what not just field day. It be packed at field day, but what about back to school night? You know what I'm saying? Have you shown up? Do you show up to? Do you just contribute? If it's $5 to the booster club, not the sports one, not the band. What about the other stuff? We have to show up. We don't. The city council, the parish commission, every other place in government. We just wait around, and then when something happens, we're like, oh, I don't know. It wasn't important. We've had. If you look at the voting trends, you talked about voting. Man, we've been voting sub 30% participation in all the last few elections. Less than 30% of the people are making decisions statewide as to who's running the show.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you don't show up, you know what I'm saying, and then you're losing your advantage, your voice. Your vote is your voice, and people keep saying, "Oh, voting doesn't make a difference." I beg to differ, because not voting we see the results that we get when we do that. And so I just want to encourage people to not only educate yourself and be involved all the time, not just in the presidential election year, not just when somebody's running for mayor, but you need to know who's your city councilman, who's your school board member, who's your parish commission member, who's important in those positions that are making decisions about your life every single day.
Okay. All right. Look, I got a question. All right. Like, if it could be a father or a mother, have you ever had anyone that, like, they want to put their kid in juvenile for being bad at home? How do you think the outcome come? Just say, me, I'm a father. I want to put my son in the detention center or something because he being bad, he being disrespectful, don't want to listen.
Yeah, well, first of all, our jail system isn't designed for that. We don't incarcerate because parents got a parent. Now, what we do have for that, though, is so we got to distinguish between a criminal behavior, which may result, or we call them FINs, which is family in need of services.
Okay.
So when a kid is disobedient, ungovernable, that's the word I was looking for, the legal word. Ungovernable. You don't want to mind your people. You don't want to mind your people.
You don't want to listen to nobody.
So the court gets involved, but not to throw the kid in jail, but it's what resources, what interventions do we need in this household that undergird this parent. Sometimes it's a grandparent raising their children because their kids are checked out, and I'm 70 having to deal with a 15-year-old, and I don't understand the technology, I don't understand the phone, I don't understand their homework. They speak it in a way, I'm too old, I'm tired, and I need help. Because he's smelling himself, feeling himself, he's not listening to me, and I ain't got time to be wrestling with him. We help. We don't put him in jail, but we help him. And there's a lot of ways in which we can help. So it's family in need of services. So if you're in that situation, you find yourself there, you can call the FINS office, FINS. You call us, we can help get you some help. That doesn't mean your kid going to jail. Because parents got a parent. Listen, we've had that. People show up and be like, I'm sick of them, I'm tired. Y'all fix it. Well,
y'all hear that,
that's
parents?
not really how it works. You know what I'm saying? You had them.
for your parents.
You had them. You got to raise them. You can't just throw up your hand and say, Jesus, take the wheel after you've spoiled them for 15 years. Now you want somebody else to clean up your mess. That's not how that works. But we are here to help. We are here to help. And at the end of the day, if your kid comes in from a criminal standpoint, our goal is to help turn them around. If they're coming in and the family needs support, we're going to do our best to help turn that around. And I'm just challenging all. Thank you for this opportunity tonight. I hope it's been helpful. And listen, please go vote, educate yourselves. And if you're looking to be a partner, we can help you right here.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for giving us that knowledge.
They need to hear that.
Please, this was a good one. Thank you, man. And so we'd like to say, stop the dissing.
Learn to listen.
Amen. Please subscribe, like, comment and keep following us. We're gonna keep growing. We're gonna keep bringing y'all. We're gonna keep bringing y'all things that y'all really need to know.
For real.
Because a lot of things that Mr. Randall told us tonight, we really needed to know. And Man, go vote. This is a very important election. Please go vote.
I'm
You
telling
can
you.
vote now, all the way up until March the 29th. This is an extremely important election. Please vote. Thank y'all.
Because if I could vote, I would vote.
But I can't. Peace.